On the chemistry first practice test, this is question 53, which is the first of the 3 math questions. And it says that a solid has a volume of 1.20 m3, which is cubic meters. What's its volume in cm3, which is cubic centimeters, and in milliliters? So I've already written out what is given. The volume equals 1.20 cubic meters. And the answer it wants is still going to be the volume, but it wants it in cubic centimeters and in milliliters. In this case, you're not given any conversions, and you need to go between cubic meters and cubic centimeters. The most important thing to realize here is this conversion is not the same as going between meters and centimeters. So you might know that there are, get this back where I'm trying to make a bullet list. Not going to work. Okay. You might know that there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. But if you use that as your conversion, you will not get the right answer, and here's why. Here's why a cubic centimeter and a meter don't have, or a cubic centimeter and a what's called a linear centimeter don't have the same conversion to a meter. So here is a cubic meter, and in this case it's divided into 10 sections in each direction. In the case of a centimeter, this would actually across here be divided into 100. They don't do that in that image because you wouldn't be able to see the individual cubes. So, but if you took a cubic meter like this and you divided it into 100 this way to make them centimeters, 100 this way, 100 this way, you'd actually end up with 100 times 100 times 100 cubic centimeters to make up that meter. And so you could do that if you knew this conversion and you didn't know anything else. You could take that 100 times 100 times 100 and it would give you 1,000,000 cubic centimeters equals 1 meter. But if you didn't know how to do that and you were confused by that, we're going to take advantage of the fact that your test is completely open book and you can use other sources such as Google and Siri. And so you could ask in this situation if a conversion came up that you didn't already know. For example, how
I didn't
many...
get that. Could you try again?
Oops, try again. How many cubic centimeters are in a cubic meter?
Here's an answer from convertunits.com. 1 cubic meter is equal to 1,000,000 cubic centimeter.
Okay, so that's the same thing that I came up with by doing some math, and here you can do it just by Googling. So 1,000,000 cubic centimeters equals 1 cubic meter. The recommendation anytime you're asking in Google for a conversion, if you know which one's smaller, start with that one. Say how many of the small one are in the bigger one, in this case cubic centimeters in cubic meters, because here's what happens if you do it the other way. How many cubic meters are in a cubic centimeter?
1 cubic centimeter is equivalent to about 10 to the negative 6 cubic meters.
So you could end up with a number like that, 10 to the negative 6, and you may or may not know how to do that. Actually, it's scientific notation, so in theory you should know how to do it, but you end up with an easier number to work with if you start your question with the smaller one. Okay, but so now we have just a simple one-line conversion. We are actually not going to use this one at this point at all, so I'm going to cross that out. And so now, if we've got just a one-step conversion between meters and centimeters, then we can use ratios, and I'm gonna set that up like this. So our ratio, it doesn't matter what goes on top and what goes on the bottom, as long as we're consistent on both sides of the equal sign. So our conversion is cubic centimeters to cubic meters, so I'm going to keep it that direction, cm3. So cubic centimeters over cubic meters equals cubic centimeters over cubic meters. Okay, that might seem really obvious and also not very useful right now. But it is, because now we can take what we're given, and that's 1.20 cubic meters. So on the left side of the equal sign, we're going to fill in what we know. And we know 1.20 cubic meters. What we don't know is how many cubic centimeters that is, so we're going to put an X there just to have what we're going to solve for. And then on the other side, we're going to put the conversion in, but we have to put it in the same direction. That's why we put the cm3m3, cm3m3 here, to hold the place and make sure that we put the right number in the right spot. So now we've got 1,000,000 cubic centimeters, and that's equal to 1 cubic meter. Okay, so now we've got our problem set up as a ratio. And what you do when you have a ratio is you find the place in the ratio where you have two numbers across from each other. So we have two places where there's a crisscross. We've got the 1.20 crisscrossed with the million, or we've got the X crisscrossed with the 1. And what we want to always start with is the place where we've got two numbers here, not the place where we've got the X. So we're going to take 1.20 times 1 million, and that's going to give us 1,200,000. And then we're going to divide by whatever number we have left, which in this case is 1. So we're going to say divided by 1, and that equals whatever we're solving for. And it's X, and the units are cubic centimeters, and it's important to keep track of the units. And 1,200,000 divided by 1. Anytime you divide something by 1, you get the same number. So that means we have 1,200,000 cubic centimeters. So the hard part of this is getting this conversion and getting it in numbers that you can work with. But once you've got that, so try that with any of these problems with conversions. Try finding them using Google or using your using Siri or equivalent on your phone, and figure out what way works the best for you to find that conversion. So now we've got the first part of the answer. We've got the volume in cubic centimeters. Now we need to know the volume in milliliters. So again, I'm going to go to Siri and ask, how many cubic centimeters in 1 milliliter?
1 milliliter is equivalent to 1 cubic centimeter.
Okay, so this is something that I already knew, and I just wanted to make sure Siri would give you the answer in a reasonable, understandable way. 1 cubic centimeter is equal to 1 milliliter, which means they're exactly the same, which means there's no conversion that you need to do. You just change the units. So it's 1,200,000 milliliters. A milliliter and a cubic centimeter are exactly the same thing. So that's it for this one. And probably when you have your real test and it's multiple choice or even fill in, then so if it's multiple choice, I'm actually not sure how it would show it to you, but I'm thinking it's only going to be asking you for the volume in cubic centimeters or in milliliters, that it's not going to be asking you in the same question for them both. If it is, the numeric part of the answer is the same, and you might need to type in CM3. I don't think you're going to have to type that in as an exponent. Just type CM and then the number 3. And then for milliliters, ml, and it should not matter anyway. I think if the L is capital or lowercase, so just put in ml whichever way. You can have either a space here or not. It shouldn't matter. And if any of those are marked wrong, and it's some little picky thing like whether the space is there or capitalization or how you put your 3 in or whatever, then definitely bring it up to the instructor, because he or she will probably give you credit for it as long as you got the number part of it right and you made some attempt to put in the units. The one thing where they might not be as generous is if you just put in centimeters and didn't put the 3 in there at all. I'm not sure if they're going to be as forgiving about that.